Welcome to Lost in Revision. All of our content is public domain, literature, fairy tales, and folklore. We are here to celebrate the original stories, not just read the modern sanitized versions. We post short segments of stories daily and monthly full episodes where we read and discuss popular classics. Come and find us on Patreon to listen to the full chapters early and without interruption. Our goal is to at least break even to cover our expenses, so any support that you can offer to help us reach that goal helps keep this podcast going and you entertained. All of our music is by Nathan Hubble and is used with his permission. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
Chapter 11. Paul's Bad Luck, Part 3. The great logger had hardly gotten things to running smoothly again when the work was once more held up, this time by the coming of the big fog. The fog drifted down over the country one night, and for several weeks it was like a thick, cottony blanket covered the land. It was so thick that the fish in the river were unable to tell where the river left off and the fog began, and many thousands of them, swimming around in the fog and thinking they were still in the river, became lost in the woods and were left stranded among the trees far from the water when the fog finally went down. Paul's men all had to wear mosquito netting over their heads in order to keep the pollywogs out of their faces. The fog was so thick that while it lasted, any cutting of timber was almost out of the question, and so all of the men in camp began devising various sports to help pass the time away. Their favorite game was a fishing contest, which helped to while away many dull hours during the big fog. In this contest, several men would carry big gunny sacks to a favorite spot and stand there, holding the mouths of the sacks wide open. Then they would begin to imitate the cries and calls which the fish made as they swam through the fog, and the man who enticed the most fish into his bag won the contest. Once one of the men heard a queer wailing sound some distance away, and thinking that it was some new kind of fish, he began mocking its cries. It came nearer and nearer, and finally he enticed it into his bag. He could tell immediately from the feel of it through the bag that this creature was not a fish, and from the roughness of its loose and bumpy skin, he was able very shortly to learn that what he had captured. "Hooray!" he yelled to his companions. "I've caught a squonk!" And despite the poor animal's desperate wailings, he bundled it under his arm and hurried with it to the bunkhouse. He was greatly excited over his unusual catch, which was indeed a prize, and he looked forward to enjoying the importance which the display of it to his fellows would give him. The squonk, which is one of the rarest animals in the woods, is a very shy creature, and its retiring disposition is due to the shame which it feels on account of its unlovely appearance. It has dull red eyes, a long comical nose, and ill-fitting warty skin, as well as several other blemishing defects, on account of all which it intensely dislikes being seen. Because it yearns to be beautiful, and yet is condemned to be so fearfully ugly, it is always unhappy and weeps and wails constantly, leaving a trail of tears wherever it goes. So rarely did it ever get near men that the logger who caught the squonk was greatly elated, and called all his friends to the bunkhouse to see the queer creature when he put it in view. When he opened the bag, however, there was nothing there except some salt water and bubbles. The poor creature, made more unhappy than ever by being caught, and being so fearful of being seen in all its homeliness, had simply dissolved in tears.
Thanks for joining us today. Check us out on Patreon. The Storytime level is only $3, and you can help us meet our small goal of breaking even and covering our expenses. Your support helps pay for all of the things that podcasting requires, and helps keep this show alive and growing. If you can't afford to support us financially, go give us a good review, subscribe or follow, and share with your friends and family. Feel free to fact check us and offer suggestions to make our show better for you. You can also send us an email at lostinrevisionpodcast@gmail.com.
There's a lot more waiting for us all at the end of the road.